poked me in the eye there. I'm sorry.
I was a little bit scared for a moment.
I didn't mean to.
Came so close.
I didn't mean to. Well, anyway, guys, here at the 12 o'clock position on Atlantis Spaceship, we have our red Zerg player, the final player from Dream Team Gaming. It is TristaN. And his opponent at the left-hand side of the map, winner of the last game, trying to close things out for Evil Geniuses. It is our blue Terran player, PuMa.
PuMa indeed. So how will PuMa open in Terran versus Zerg? We've seen Terran players kind of play around a little bit with their openings lately. Reactor Hellion just isn't as successful as it used to be, and above that, it's not as safe as it used to be as well. So Terrans have kind of had to start adapting a little bit. We've seen Terran players go for a more barracks-oriented play in a very defensive nature. We've seen Terran players go for, you know, Hellions as well and just kind of play a little bit more passively, kind of wait for opportunities to run in and snipe drones at the third. But I think right now, I believe the best way to open in TVZ, in my opinion, what I've seen people get the most success with is Banshee openings. We're going to see a lot more Banshee openings in Terran versus Zerg because it forces the Zerg to make things they don't want to make in terms of spore crawlers and things like that. Even if they already have 4 queens, they need to put down at least a spore or 2 or get an overseer very quickly. And if you go Banshees, it also allows your Hellions to get in there and handle creep tumors as well, because suddenly you've got Hellions and Banshees. The queens are not able to hold things off as easily. So yeah, Banshees I think are absolutely the way to go early on in TVZ these days. The
reason that I really like them as well, because they open for a multitude of things. Let's assume, for example,
like
you end up going after. Well, yeah, actually, no, I was going to say that. So if you end up going for, let's say, that very fast 3 command center build that revolves around getting reactored Hellions, whether before the first command center comes up or the second, I should say, the second command center comes up or afterwards,
which
it looks
first
like
for PuMa
it is going to be CC first. So if he goes like reactored Hellions into uncloaked Banshees, then you'll see a lot of players make a Raven for utility, deny creep tumors, and kind of decide where to go from there on out. They can then slap down a bunch of factories, end up going for that mech, or they have the versatility to just commit right over to that Marine tank build.
Yeah, 2 or 3 Banshees with a Raven and some Hellions is super, super effective right now in early game Terran versus Zerg. Like you said, you can clear creep tumors with the Raven. You can pick off queens if you're lucky. Maybe a couple drones your Hellions can be harassing. It does obviously leave you a little bit vulnerable to certain early all-ins because you are going to have a few less units. You have to be very careful that they're not able to sneak some Zerglings around near your base and Baneling bust you. Obviously with a Banshee, if you find it, you can kill a lot of those Banelings before they can get in and do damage, but if you don't scout it, it can still be pretty bad. And I suppose a very early Roachling all-in can sometimes be a little bit of a concern, but again, you have Banshees. So overall, I think that's what we're going to see a lot of Terrans go for.
Well, PuMa decided to go for just a single gas after his command center, which is kind of interesting. You'll see a lot of players double gas, so they make sure they can get down that factory as quickly as is humanly possible. Looks like PuMa just going to wait it out, though, with this SEV, put up that factory a little bit later, but nothing too out of the ordinary for him, really.
Well, this one gas variation of it is something that we see players like Moro and Thorzane do every once in a while, and the idea behind this oftentimes, we may not see it this game, but is to put down 2 more barracks after this and then try to let the Zerg take a quick third and hit with a little bit of a Marine Hellion aggression at that third a little bit later in the game. So that tends to be kind of what we see out of this one gas variation, but you know, we'll see. I mean, PuMa obviously a very different player than Thorzane and Moro, and may have, you know, certainly his own take on early game TVZ. He may not even change things up. Right now, everything he's doing is pretty standard.
And as we saw out of TristaN, he did decide to go for that Roach Warren, so we'll see if that's just going to be for defensive purposes or if he is going to be able to put on a lot of pressure and just, oh wow, he's actually saved up 10 larvae now and they're not going towards drones at the moment. So we are going to see a ton of roaches.
Yes, and here they come.
Boom!
8 roaches on the way. Might even see a few more of them. This is kind of one of those things I was talking about where, you know, you could see a little bit of early aggression with Roachling depending on what the Terran decides to do. This kind of takes advantage of the fact that the Terran player only has a couple Hellions and a couple Marines out right now. Not a lot of defense. PuMa even getting that starport right now. And there's a tech lab going down on, I believe that's his barracks. Yeah, his barracks as well. So could certainly be going into Banshees like we were talking a little bit earlier about. Now the nice thing for him is that he is getting these supply depots in front of the bunker. He's going to need to be there. He's going to need to repair right away. He's going to need to possibly make a Marauder once that tech lab finishes and he realizes he's going up against roaches. It's going to be tense, though. It's going to be very tense for PuMa in just a moment.
That's right, and TristaN clearly not playing for a long game.
PuMa.
And PuMa knows it now. Immediately starts his Marine production once again, trying to get out as many units as possible. Immediately puts down a second bunker. At the same time, with those Banshees coming up, we'll see if it's going to be enough. The Roaches are knocking on the door. Will PuMa have what it takes to close things out right here?
You know, honestly, Banshees don't kill Roaches very quickly, so TristaN's going to definitely do some damage here. He's actually targeting down SCVs. He's like, there's only one Marine in that bunker. I know what's up here. Kind of scooting in there as well, and PuMa may need to lift this. We'll see.
That's right. And the Marine dies before it's able to duck into the bunker. One more does pop out right away, though. A couple of these Roaches have been killed, but the bunker has been gone through. Not much mining happening over at the natural. But here's a Banshee now, so PuMa's going to need this desperately for the DPS to take down these Roaches.
I feel like PuMa made a bit of an error here, even though he will get the supply depot potentially if he gets one more volley. Yeah, there we go. I feel like it might have been a little bit more worthwhile for him to just do damage down at the natural, kill off those supply depots, maybe try to get PuMa to lift that command center until the Banshee came out, maybe try to get some of the Hellions down the ramp to go with it as well, because as it is, you know, TristaN didn't really do as much damage as he could have, I feel like. He did kill a decent amount of SCVs, though. What was the final tally there?
It was 14.
Ooh, yeah, that is a lot of SCVs.
That's right, but PuMa, of course, is sitting on double mules at the moment, so his economy is still respectable, and it looks like he's going to follow up now. And there's not a lot of anti-Hellion defense that's sitting outside of the natural.
True.
And TristaN did not go up to a third base either.
Yeah, well, kind of just goes to show just how good this Hellion Banshee play can be from Terran early game here, because now PuMa will be able to put on the pressure with those Banshees, and it looks like he's also taking a third at that location with the rich Vespin Geyser as well. So PuMa taking advantage of the fact that his opponent is playing defensive and expanding.
And it looks like we are going to have Cloak popping out for this Banshee here in just a bit. Spore Crawlers are already up for TristaN. Does he have anything inside of the main? Yes, he does. So he's going to remain pretty well defended against that. But look at that. Scanning, picking off creep tumors, now really nullifying a lot of the effect that those Queens had at the beginning of the game.
Yep, that's right. Banshees making their way into the main. How many Queens are there? Just one so far for TristaN. He's going to need to walk another one up there. PuMa. Wow.
That's actually killing quite a few units. He's almost evened up the workers killed now. He can DPS down one Queen with two Banshees. So this is actually not ending up being all that bad for him. Now up to 13 workers killed. All of the damage done by the Roach Rush is done, and TristaN finds himself down a base.
The Spore repositioning, and PuMa just takes the opportunity and moves to the northern part of the base. And look on the production tab. We have two factories on the way. Yet another Terran player going mech in TVZ.
That's right.
I love it. I love where TVZ is going right now. I'm so excited.
Oh my god.
But man, he may not even need those factories. Yeah, look at all that. He's just totally got this on lockdown for the moment. Hellion sitting out front of the natural, handling creep tumors. He can scan and kill those off anytime he wants.
That's right. And Banshees should actually start thinking about backing away here in just a bit so he can allow, or you can put more units around.
Using an extractor.
Yeah.
It still goes down. Oh, TristaN.
I know. That's frustrating.
TristaN. I know you need the gas, but seriously.
Oh, and just gets out of range with 5 hit points and 20 kills. Commander Banshee there.
Commander and Sergeant.
Looks like the Hellions are going to get surrounded in the middle of the map, but now PuMa's sitting on 3 bases. He's sitting on mech play. He's making a trillion Thors, so that's a lot.
Or 2, maybe slightly less than a trillion.
It's
still
close.
It can be a scary amount. I agree. I love this too. I really, really like the double armory style as well. I mean, when you get 3 bases, you get down 2 armories. That rich Vespin gas is obviously going to help quite a bit. The idea there is you max out with 3/3 and then you move out with this unstoppable mech force. So we might see PuMa do something similar to that.
Yeah. And it looks like he is going to be able to get out of there with his Banshees. Yes, he is.
Really
so close once again, but he does do quite a bit of damage to that hatchery.
It's time to repair those. Might want to send an SCV up and get that done, because you know, he's done a lot of damage with the Banshees, and if he takes the time to repair them, he could do a lot more. Yeah, flying those home right now. Well done, Banshees.
That's right. And only 999,999,998 more Thors to get to that trillion mark. But
we're almost there.
He's building his way up.
That's right.
Yes.
A little bit of a Zergling run by here. Blue Flame did just finish, though, for the Hellions 2-2 on the way as well. So as long as PuMa controls those Hellions well, he should be okay against this. TristaN's kind of like, all right, are you actually going 2 base against me? Which I think he would be a little bit surprised about. But
I really like the way PuMa's playing
scout.
this, though. He's playing a lot more passively. He's making sure that he invests in infrastructure. He's like, all right, you're on 2 bases. You can't really do anything at the moment. You're not going to put on a ton of pressure. So I'm going to make sure that I invest in the super late game. And he's done exactly that, and it's really paid off.
Hey, there's a Zergling burrowed in his main.
Yeah, I saw that.
I did not notice that. Oh, Zergling's in his natural as well here. Going to kill off a lot of SCVs potentially, unless PuMa can get those Hellions there in time. Wow, this is actually being pretty successful for TristaN.
Yeah.
But is it enough? Did he kill enough SCVs with that?
And a few inside of the main as well. He's got 27 workers killed to his opponent's 21.
Yeah. It's not a good day to be a worker in this game.
No, not at all. But PuMa is now sitting on a ton of
Oh, those are only
still.
Thors.
That's right.
That's
what
a bit
actually
risky.
is up? It's nothing. There are no attack units on the ground whatsoever.
Wow.
18 roaches are popping up now, but that's still going to be quite a bit. It looks like PuMa just going to back off a bit and reinforce back with these Hellions.
Yeah, and he certainly should, because having those 2 Thors there, even with the Banshees, is certainly a huge risk. He was lucky, I guess, that TristaN did that run by. Hellions trying to buffer damage for those Thors, and they do a great job of it. One Banshee does go down. Is that going to be enough to handle the Roaches and the Queens?
Those Thors are actually racking up quite a few kills, though.
No
7
kidding.
kills apiece, and the Roaches are just kind of melting to them. The Roaches are pretty well upgraded, and 2-2 is not finished yet for those Thors, but look at how many units they've killed. They've proven to be very cost-effective.
You know, PuMa, though, really flirting with disaster right now. This was such a risky move for him to move out so early with these Thors and Banshees, because at this moment in Mech TVZ, if you lose those early Thors and all those early Hellions as well, that really, really sets your later game push behind. So PuMa, you know, he did, that looked okay, but honestly, like any Terran player out there that's played a lot of Mech knows just how risky that move PuMa just did was.
And PuMa kills another 5 workers there, so basically evening up that workers killed one more time. Floating quite a bit of minerals at the moment and using them to go ahead and take basically every base on the map. He's going to be up to 5 bases here momentarily.
Yep.
This one actually becoming another orbital command, so oh my god, he feels very confident.
Yeah, and I would too, man. I mean, he's got a lot of Thors out. Again, he still needs to pull back. Oh, doing such a good job with the Hellion harass as well. That's exactly what you want to do in Mech TVZ, and the scan won't save you.
Wow.
I mean, a scan will, well, the scan certainly won't save the drones, but burrowing won't save the drones.
That's right.
That will also not save them.
Holy crap, that was a ton of kills there.
Is that
54 workers killed at 28, 82 workers have been killed.
Are those
in this match.
Hydralisks I see in Terran versus Zerg?
They are.
Interesting.
Right there.
Well, here's the thing. Hydras can do okay if the Roaches can buffer for them, but if the Hellions swing around from the back of the army, they will kill those Hydras so fast. That's why you see Zergs generally avoiding them, but this could be a potential, you know, situation where TristaN could do some damage. We'll see.
Looks like PuMa trying to move out on the back of 8 Thors there.
Yep.
2 upgrades are indeed finished up, but the Roaches are making their way towards the 3rd. So looks like PuMa, is he going to come back and defend?
Yeah,
he is.
He needs to right now. Yep. Yep, he does need to. He's going to lose a couple Thors here as well, but he should be able to handle this army fairly easily. Fungal growth locking down some of those Hellions. Nice job by TristaN there.
Yeah, but he's not really able to do any economic damage at all. He's not able to deny a base and lost the vast majority of his army there and can't really run away, because if he does, then the Thors are just going to catch up and scan like we saw.
Yeah, you know, I feel like I'd like to see PuMa wall off this area, and that's exactly what he's going to do now, it looks like, is build some command centers, probably put a couple planetaries down as well. He can't afford to have these run-bys happening when he's playing Mech. Mech is such a big, immobile force that you can't really respond to these things by Zerg quite as easily. So now PuMa, we see also adding on some tanks. Usually what you do in Mech is you add on a lot of Thors early on, then you add on the tanks. The reason is you want the Thors to stay safe against mutas, and in the later parts of the game, you want the tanks to handle basically everything else, really. So PuMa moving out with a pretty scary force right now.
Yeah, no kidding. And all of these Hydralisks moving directly into the range of the splash damage from the siege tanks, and the siege tanks cleaned up so many of them very quickly. The ones that are remaining are actually pretty low health, and the base goes down almost instantly.
I always get a little bit nervous when I see a mech force with very few Hellions, but PuMa's just got such a huge advantage in terms of upgrades, in terms of supply right now, that it doesn't really matter. I mean, anytime you're after about 150 supply, generally it's pretty safe to move out in mech, whether it's TVT or TVZ, as long as you've got things kind of secured back at home, which PuMa certainly does. So this is a great position for him to start to try to do some damage.
Well, the only thing he doesn't have defended, unfortunately, is this base right here over at the 3rd, but he's far enough along. It looks like he's going to continue with his attack and just reinforce with what he gets back at home, which is plenty to defend.
Well, I feel like PuMa's a little bit new to meching in TVZ. I mean, obviously he's a pro player, has done it in the past, but he has had a couple little mistakes letting these units, these run-bys do a little bit more damage. But there it comes a point, like we see right now, where it really doesn't matter what the Zerg sends at you. You can even just base trade with this type of army. And PuMa looking like he's marching to victory with some awesome robots.
Yeah, those are some pretty awesome robots, I have to say. And not much mining going down for Tristan at all. And it looks like PuMa may be on the verge of eliminating Dream Team Gaming and actually giving his team a spot in Losers Round 3.
You know, Tristan does still have the ability to hold this off, just maybe barely. What are the upgrades on his roaches, though? It's kind of the question. Oh, he only has +1 missile? Yeah, never mind. Never mind. He might kill these Thors, but overall, PuMa should be just fine. He's over 100 supply ahead.
That's right. And the Hellions are catching up now as well. My cursor has completely disappeared. I've just become this weird green thing. So
okay.
I have no idea what happened to my cursor.
We're going to be fine.
But anyway, the Roaches, last couple of Roaches actually taking quite a bit of damage here. Looks like he will be cleaned up here in just a second as PuMa continues to reinforce with endless amounts of units.
Yep, that's right. 141 to 29 supply. I think we're going to see PuMa take the game. There it is, GG.
Wow, and so
EG.
Evil Geniuses has taken the set. They are moving on to Losers Round 3.